Everybody, welcome to Leo's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. We're looking at Kent's McCulloch D30. Kind of an unusual saw. In case you hadn't noticed, the starter's in the wrong place. It's a really goofy setup, but Homelight did something similar with that ratchet style starter, only theirs was all contained down here on the 330 Homelight, which came 30 years after this damn thing. But big drum up here, big coiled spring in there, and as you pull, sends that out. This it's a kind of a helical gear that comes out and engages in a set of gears on the flywheel. This gear is it's red, so I'm assuming, being from the 50s, it's nylon, or it might be Bakelite, but I think that's too fragile. Anyway, comes out, engages the flywheel, pulls it over. Not the quietest thing ever, but it does get the job done. So, anyway, this is definitely the most unique McCulloch I've worked on yet. Kent has a real affinity for these things, so he has a steady stream of them that come to the shop. This one, all in all, is in pretty good shape. It's got that original stack muffler. And what else is of note of it? It has some version of the McCulloch flat back carburetor. They had their in-house carb, and they call it that because the bottom's nice and flat right there. These kits are pretty hard to come by. Thankfully, this one didn't need it. But Sugar Creek Supply, sugarcreeksupply.net is Joe's new website. In addition to decals, he's got some of these hard to find carburetor kits that he's reproducing over there. So check that out if you need it. This saw has a very unique automatic oiler, and I had no clue about this until I was reading Mike Akers' website, which is another one. If you need to know anything about a saw, go there. So this was originally recommended to run on 10-to-1 mix, and that left enough of an oil residue in the crankcase that it extracts residual oil and pumps it to the bar pad, I guess using a crankcase pulse. There's a manual oiler override right here that will just utterly soak this chain down. It was completely dry when I started this, and now it's very nice and wet. What else we got? The clutch was a little sticky, didn't want to stop turning, pulled that off, and naturally I didn't have a clutch spring in stock, but there's evidently two clutches offered on these styles of saws. This early style uses one spring on the inboard, so if that gets too hot or collapses for some reason, I doubt a spring from the 2-spring model would work, because it probably wouldn't have as much tension. This one I cleaned up, oiled the bushing, and it got back to where it was supposed to be. You can see the chain quit turning at idle, and with proper tension it should idle without the chain moving. So anyhow, Kent, I think this one's ready to go. You're going to want to track down an air filter. I don't know if the video is going to show that, but you can see through it. So no good for cutting there, but other than that, like I say, your McCulloch D30 is ready to rock and roll.